system, you can handle the heat.
Booyakasha! Welcome back to another episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It's your boy G Swizz, joined by my broski, Jokesy. How we doing?
Jokesy, how we doing, Brodo? Jodo.
Good, Jodo.
Bro, I got my tires slashed this week.
You had it coming, let's be honest here.
The Lunenburg Slasher got me. The Lunenburg Slasher, he got me.
The burger, I don't know. The burger slasher? I love calling you guys the burger boys. That's so legendary. Well, let's get right into it, Joe. Let's get really right into it. IYCHTH System is partnering with Bad Boys Open Volleyball, who runs Seaside Volleyball up in Oregon, the biggest beach volleyball tournament, I'm going to say, in the world, is bringing to you guys our first ever grass volleyball event in Huntington Beach. We are putting together a tournament. If you follow us on social media, you realize that we have started a grass volleyball tournament on June 4th and 5th with a $15,000 purse. Huntington Beach, be there. Orange County Crown.
There's only one question to ask yourself. Do you want the smoke?
Do you want? Can you handle the heat? Can you
handle the heat? Do you want the smoke?
Exactly. We'll be playing in it too. So if you wanted a chance to shut us up or just show us out or just come enjoy the tournament, it'll be we can promise you a very professionally run tournament at the same time, a fun atmosphere with an after party after the adults. June 4th, we have open level. We have A and B for men's and women's triples. And on the 5th, we have the juniors events. We made it quad. And there'll be prizes for the winner. And the 4th of the night.
Sick prizes. Not just prizes. Sick prizes.
Sickest of prizes. Yeah, but after the June 4th, we have an after party. It's going to be sick. It's going to be legendary. And again, all the stuff, the information you want about this tournament is going to be on Bad Boys Open and IYCHTH System Volleyball Instagram. So make sure you pay attention to our social medias and make sure, if you haven't already, follow us there. And it opens on Monday. And again, the registration opens on Monday. But again, this will go by quickly. A lot of spots are going to be taken up. We decided to bring on the legendary Mike Griffin, who we're co-hosting it with, who we're co-running it with Bad Boys Open Volleyball. He'll be the next, he'll be the guest on this show. But we also want to give a fat shout out to Dr. Price's Electrolytes to keep you nice and electrolyted. Use IYCHTH System 20 for 20% off. Now let's bring on Mike Griffin.
You can handle the heat. Yeah. You can handle the heat.
We are so happy to bring you a near and dear friend to our heart, a man of the badge, a now partner of IYCHTH System, and just so happens to run the biggest beach volleyball tournament in the world in Seaside, Oregon. And Mike Griffin. Mike, thank you so much for hopping on the pod with us, man. How you doing, man?
What's up, boys? Yeah, thanks, man. I'm super stoked to be here, man. It's good to see you guys.
Hey, good to see you too. I mean, it's not like we don't talk to each other every day, but any day we get to talk to Mike Griffin is a good day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. I appreciate that. That's very kind.
Well, let's get into it. We want to talk about the Seaside, and we want to talk about the Orange County Crown, our recent tournament coming up first weekend of June. But let's start with Seaside here. So let's talk about first of all, what is a little bit of your volleyball backstory, and then what was the path into the Seaside Bad Boys Open?
Man, well, my background for volleyball is started playing a little bit in high school after I, growing up, born and raised in Hawaii, and grew up watching, Rainbow Wahine volleyball and following that, and moved from Hawaii when I was in right after my freshman year of high school, moved to the mainland, and no boys volleyball really. I didn't get to play club when I was growing up. It was just I didn't get to do it as like some of my friends did, just played in PE and stuff like that. And then moved to Oregon right after my freshman year of high school. And I picked it up my senior year. They started boys volleyball up here in the Northwest. Just kind of fell in love with it. Had a friend of mine that she was an All-American at LSU, Wendy Stammer. She played on the AVP for a long time. And she told me, she goes, you know what, Mike, I was playing open gyms and just trying to play as much as I could. She goes, you should go and play in college. I'm like, well, where? And so she made a phone call to Golden West College in Huntington Beach, to Albert Gasparian. Long time, a lot of people I'm sure on your podcast know who Albert Gasparian is. And I went down there, tried out, made the team at Golden West. After, that, I played for 2 seasons there, and then went home to Hawaii for a family reunion. And I was playing at Fort DeRussy, and this guy comes up to me, and I wish he was doctor or something, but he turned out to be one of the recruiters for UH. And it was Coach Rosehill at the time. And he goes, hey, where are you from? What are you doing? I told him I just got done playing at Golden West College in Huntington Beach, playing JUCO ball. And I still had, and he asked me if I had eligibility left. I said, yeah. And he put me in contact with Alan Rosehill, and I got offered to go back home to play at UH. And, and things for me didn't work out just because the personal family history stuff with not being able to qualify for student loans, and what, I couldn't afford to go back home and pay out of state tuition. I couldn't find a way. And if I'd known better back then, I would have done anything to find a way. Cause I got offered to come back home and play for the Bows, and I didn't do it, which is probably the only regret in my volleyball life that I have. But things happen for a reason. And, I kept playing after Gold West. I kept playing, moved back to Oregon, got married, had a family. And I actually started playing the Seaside Beach Volleyball Tournament when I was 18 years old, like right out of high school. I started playing that tournament. And back then, it's going to be the 40th anniversary this year. So, do the math. I think it was only a few years in when I first started playing that tournament. And about 7 years ago, some friends of mine, we were just running little rinky dink, just small local tournaments up here in the Pacific Northwest, running some grass stuff. And then 7 years ago, this opportunity came. We pitched our idea to the Seaside Chamber of Commerce, and now we're running it. So that's just, that's how the path led to Seaside. And it's just been a tremendous opportunity. It's been a tremendous partnership with Seaside. It's the biggest domestic beach volleyball tournament in the United States, and I'm super stoked to be a part of it. It's awesome, man. Brian Owen, the director, is just an incredible dude and super good guy to work with. And there were people that came before us that have helped get the tournament to where it is today. I mean, our group can't certainly take the credit for what it's grown into, because it's been years and years of other people before us that helped grow it and make it what it is today. And we've just kind of taken the reins and helped grow the event even more and bring it in the 21st century. And it's super fun, man. It's a super fun event. And it's something, as long as I can be a part of it, I'm going to continue to do that, because it's just an honor to be involved in it, for sure.
Right. And it's so, like you said, we've been fortunate to go and participate in these really, really big tournaments. Seaside is yet to happen this year, but we're planning on coming on this year.
Yeah. I'll handcuff you guys to a car and drag you up.
It's not because we didn't want to. It's because our schedules, it just didn't work out with our schedules and everything. But we're gonna make it happen this year. But one thing is that we've been lucky to participate in a lot of these kind of big, more grass tournaments and everything. Mm-hmm. But you hear like the grassroots of it, and you hear like the beginnings of these tournaments, and like it's kind of funny that like, oh yeah, we just set up 4 courts in our backyard, and then all of a sudden now we have 100-something courts. I'm like, geez. So like at Seaside, what did it start, and then when did it really start clicking, and what made it? What was a catalyst for that to happen?
So the history of the tournament, it started off as a fundraiser for the lifeguards in Seaside. And
When was this?
So 40 years ago, right?
Cool.
So it's going to be the 40th annual this year. So 40 years ago, they started this.
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's a huge undertaking coming up this year. But yeah, 40 years ago, it started as a fundraiser for the lifeguards, and the lifeguards put it on. And then over the years, it has just grown and grown and grown. You know, started off, I don't know how many courts they started with back then, probably like what, 2 or something, or 4 maybe, you know, but this last year we put down, because I want to say there's either 2 or 4 permanent courts that sit at Seaside all year,
Right.
that the locals use and stuff like that. But we come in, and last year we put in 177 beach volleyball.
Holy, permanent.
Well, permanent for the weekend, for the week.
Okay.
Yeah, we put in 177, and then we tear them all out at the end of the weekend, put them all away, and start over for the next year.
So is the beach volleyball community in, well, not just Seaside, but in Oregon, like, big? Or has it grown? Obviously, it's grown. It's got to be grown because of this.
It's grown. I mean, beach volleyball in Oregon isn't as big. It's starting to pick up, especially with all the junior girls, like everywhere else, right? But there's only a few, like, permanent courts around. You know, a few people have them in their yards, and there's a couple parks around that have courts, and then Chemeketa Community College down in Salem has some, and so there's a few around, but as far as like a facility that runs beach tournaments every weekend, there really isn't one, other than small local stuff. So every year we got to set all this up every single year.
Holy. Well, hey, my tip our cap too. That is very, very impressive. And you go anywhere in this country, and you tell them about the Seaside tournament, they're like, oh yeah, Seaside looks legendary. If they haven't been to it, and they've been to it, they got nothing but good things to say. But let's get into a little grass volley here, because that's where our expertise kind of come in here. So why grass volleyball? What is your background in grass volleyball? And then we'll get into how we kind of started our Orange County Crown.
You know, my background in grass is I was playing a lot of grass back in the day in Southern California, and back in like the 90s, early 90s. My buddy of mine, Eric Wolfong, who I was a teammate with at Golden West, he and I are best friends to this day. And we used to play these grass tournaments all the time. We'd go play beach tournaments too, but we were playing grass also.
Right. And
it was grass, old school, big court doubles.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we were playing all the time. Like every week we'd go as far as San Diego, all the way up to, to I think Santa Cruz. We'd go to Fullerton. We'd go all over and play these CVBA, California Beach Volleyball Association. They used to sanction grass tournaments. And
legendary.
So we'd go play all these tournaments all over the place. And honest to God, I want to say that I played against your guys' coach, Charlie Wade, back in the day.
Really? He played grass. He never, ever mentioned that to us. Was he any good?
Yeah, I want to say, because he, I played against him in a turn. I can't even remember where he played in college, if he played, or I'm sure he did. I want to say I played him somewhere or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but I don't know. But yeah,
maybe Luke Lau. Maybe Luke Lau also, because he's if we showed you a picture of him, maybe you recognize him. He was basically our coach. He's legendary. He's all in the grass scene, like you said. Sorry, continue though.
Yeah, so that's how my roots in grass volleyball started, playing these tournaments back in the day. And then when I moved back to Oregon, grass volleyball really was a big thing up in the Northwest, just because there weren't a lot of beach volleyball tournaments around. And so I'd play a bunch of local tournaments up here. And so when early in my police officer career, I decided to run a fundraiser. And I'm like, well, how can I raise a fundraiser and do stuff? Because I was president of our association. So I wanted to do a fundraiser charity event. So I was like, well, I know a lot of volleyball players. I play volleyball. I'll throw a beach volleyball or a grass volleyball tournament. And that's how Bad Boys Open was born. The stupid cliche name of Bad Boys, right? Being a cop. And that's honest to God how the name started back in 1999 when I started Bad
That's
Boys
awesome.
Open volleyball. It was the name of a tournament. And over the years it's grown into a brand or a business or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And so that's how, it started. And I just started running grass tournaments and then, up here and going up to Seattle and, all up and down the I-5 corridor up in Oregon and Washington, I'd play all these big tournaments because grass volleyball back in the early 90s the 90s was, early 90s all the way up through the early 2000s was grass events were pretty big. And there's still some pretty big tournaments up in the Northwest, so, and the Seattle folks up north, they run a lot of grass stuff too. And reverse co-ed quads is a big game up here because it kind of gets everybody involved. And, guys hit from the 10-foot line on a women's net and girls can block and it's a super fun game. Super fun.
Right.
So that's how Bad Boys came about. That's how it was born.
That's sick. And then, so a little history for our listeners out there and how we kind of met. Basically, you've been trying to get a Seaside, not us resisting, just more, we've been trying to work out how to get to Seaside. Unfortunately, we couldn't go this past year and everything. And then we kind of started talking about, this is last summer, we kind of started talking about creating a grass tournament, and maybe we were going to do it last summer, but I don't know if we were in the right place at the right time, like business-wise, to put on an event, and because we know the Bad Boys Open comes, the real deal, so they know what they're doing, and obviously we were just kind of getting our feet off the ground in terms of the tour, the first tour, annual tour, and everything like that. But when did you first hear about Out of System, and what kind of, and then, yeah, that kind of like, what was kind of the thing that was like, oh, I would like to go in a business with them, or what kind of sparked your interest there?
Mostly for me, I kind of found out about you guys just watching UH volleyball and getting, like everybody else, getting to know you guys through that.
Right.
And then I saw that you guys started Out of System and I think I reached out to Joe or sent you guys a text message or something, because I was going to do the OC Crown last summer.
Right.
And I was trying to get that off the ground. And then with COVID and everything, I couldn't get it moving. And so we just started the conversation then, like, well, maybe next year, let's do something. And then I just kind of followed you guys all through the summer and, laughing at your guys' videos and your guys' you guys are winning all these super fun tournaments. And I was trying to make it out to Wapaka, and I was trying to make it out to Pottstown, and just to go and represent Seaside, and just kind of like, hey, I'm Mike and I run Seaside and I'm just here for the show and the party. I was trying to get out there, but I was just kind of following you guys along, and just because I loved what you guys were doing, and I love the energy and I lived vicariously through you guys, I guess, being the young guy that I used to be, and just kind of following along. But yeah, it was, that's just kind of how it ended up. And Joe responded to a message, and we finally started talking. So it's what's funny, guys, is what I tell people this all the time. It's what I love about volleyball and the volleyball community. It's even though it's a very big, immense, and deep community with a lot of history and kind of the 6 degrees of separation for the volleyball community is pretty small, right? But it just, what volleyball has brought to my life has been nothing but just the best people and the best memories and my best friends. And it's an awesome thing, and that's what I love about this this whole thing, and you mean, who'd have thunk that 20 years into this, I'm going to be running volleyball tournaments and running one of the largest volleyball tournaments in the world. And it's crazy, dude. And then, we're about to embark on a venture together that who knows, man, we could be the grass volleyball, the seaside grass volleyball thing. We could,
Speak into existence, Mike.
Hell yeah. There's nothing stopping us to make it a Wapaka or a Pottstown, like some of these large events that are rolling still. Yeah. There's nothing saying that we can't do that. And
absolutely.
That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. You talked about a little bit how volleyball's really shaped like who you are and the relationships that you've built. It's funny because people even ask us like, oh, without a system, like you guys are going to get old eventually. You're not going to be like, the brand right now is like more so based on like our playing careers in a way, but it's exactly like events like this, like these grassroots types of things are something that's always going to be a part of our business structure as we continue to develop our business structure like it has for you. These like grassroots, really these outdoor events will always be a huge component of what we have. And like no matter what age, we'll always be able to run these events. We might not be able to play in them at a certain age, but but we also just love the ability to connect, and we want to show up to these events, throw after parties, have a good time, make sure everybody is being safe, because you are, but at the same time, getting after it and having a good time and having a great experience. So that's what for us, why this thing and this adventure is so exciting, and so we're fired up for it. Absolutely fired up for it, Mike.
Yeah.
Well,
it's gonna be fun.
Well, let's give a little. Well, there's two things I want to kind of go off of here. First thing is you talked about you representing Seaside, going to these other big tournaments, and that's the crazy part about the volleyball community and these mega tournaments is that all the directors you guys kind of know each other, and then like we're Wapaka, like we got the Pottstown guy here, we got the guy here, blah blah, and vice versa when we went to Pottstown, Wapaka, and stuff like that. I'm sure the same thing at Seaside. Also, let's give a little information here about the Orange County Crown. Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming up with the name. That's an awesome name. All right, just let's get some information here. Orange County Crown, again, is a grass tournament. We're going to do triples open for the adults and then quads for the juniors. The adults is on the 4th of June, and on the 5th of June we have the quads juniors, just because we feel like for the juniors level it'll be more enjoyable, get more people out there, and just for makes for better volleyball. And then for the adults we'll have a $15K purse, and as well as for other divisions, non-open divisions, we'll make sure to have prizes for you there, everything, and there'll be food on site, and then also making sure there's going to be an after party. There's going to be at Huntington Beach Sports Complex. Again, registration opens on Monday, and we know it's going to go quick. We have about, how many courts would you say we have about, Mike?
We have 20. We're going to do 20. We have it allotted for 20, but if we get there, or I'm going to go down and take a look at the site and remeasure and everything. Ideally, we'd love to get 24. That way we can build it up a little bit, but 20 for sure. 20 courts.
Have I left anything out? Is there any other information?
Men's triples and women's triples division. So we'll have 6 divisions, open A and B, and then in the women's side, and open A and B on the men's side. And everything else is correct. And for the juniors too, we got it as boys and girls, 18s, 16s, and 14s.
Okay.
So
perfect.
Well, again, right in the heart of Southern California. It's perfect location. I love that location. Fired up for that aspect. We were talking about yesterday too, just in terms of the rules. People were writing into us because this is another thing. Like we realized when we went on the tour last year, some people are so like they have no ability to adapt like whatever their mindset is on what rules should be and their concept of rules. It's like everywhere you go, it's the same thing in every sport. Like everywhere you go, there's slightly different rules always. Yeah. And people just are, for some reason, there's some volleyball communities that just we're not flexible at all. But we always like the more creative, like looser rules in general. We believe that's how you develop volleyball. Like when we're in Europe and stuff, watching how they train the younger age kids, why they're so far ahead is because they allow so much more flexibility, and they allow more creativity. And they're not sitting there trying to call every single thing. Like they let kids play, and that's right for us. Like that kind of Midwest, like what the boat ride uses for rules, allowing the open hand serve receive, because it just like you end up with having more rally. We want to have more rallies at the end of the day. I'm a firm believer in that when I'm coaching, playing, running an event now. Like we want to have more rallies. You want to create more. So I like open hand serve receive. The block doesn't count as a touch to give you a little bit more.
So more indoor-esque rules.
Yeah,
with outdoor flavor.
Exactly, and I think it's I think that's what we always talk about. The grass triple scene is our favorite volleyball scene by far, because it does that. It brings the best aspects of the outdoor game. The outdoor elements, the wind, the no antenna part. Like we love that, and then obviously the sun. We love having the sun there, and then the best parts of the indoor game, like we were talking about, the physicality. Like in beach volleyball, I think at times it becomes a little too finessey. Where like in a grass triples game, you're on a hard surface, so people are moving way faster than they would in the beach. And then also you have 3 guys on the court, so you can't just kind of like chip around, because you have 2 guys now defending behind you for the most part. So that's why we love it. And we're 100% being going with that. And people wrote into us and DM'd us on our Instagram saying, "Hey, what rules are you going by?" Because that was super important to them. They're like, like almost like they wouldn't come if we didn't like have the correct rule. It's just funny always. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter.
But we get that.
Hey, when you build it, they'll come.
Exactly.
We will build it, and they will come.
That's
Saw it in a movie once.
And that's true. It is true. If you build it and offer a good purse, they will come. Always had that person there, Like that's another thing that I mean, obviously it's important. I mean, it's nice when you go to a tournament and you win money and stuff, but like we went to these tournaments a lot of time in the tour last year, and we were like, okay, yeah, it'd be cool. And obviously open draws more people, but for us it was just for the love of the game, really. But like after the match, they were like, people were like, "Oh, how much did you get?" And we're like, I don't know, we got like X amount of money for winning this. And they're like, "Oh, usually it's like this." I'm like, yeah, all right, but like we're just here for the good time, We're cruising with our boys. But then again, luckily we had sponsors, and we had, so like at the same time I get it. But yeah. And then also like I said, we adapt to anything, but my favorite is big court and just super loose rules, and you go out there and you go ball out. But it's kind of funny seeing some of the beach players out there, because like, oh this and oh that. I'm like, oh god, that's another thing about beach players that annoys me. Like with everything, they're just so tight on everything. I'm like, bro, chill the f out. Anyway, well hopefully,
and it's funny that you say it, because just in my experience with running Seaside, probably the ones that are the most aggro as far as rules and flipping out about stuff is the open. Is the open level. They're always the first ones to cry baby about some shit, and I get it. It's for money, and it's competitive, and everybody wants to win, and everybody's an alpha and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
It's like you're gonna have to,
dude,
follow the rules and play the game, dude. If you don't like it, don't play.
Exactly. And And what we noticed is, obviously you guys have AVP players at your event, and I don't know how they handle it, but it's more the semi-pro players that I hate semi-pro players. I think they're the scum of the earth, in my opinion. I hate them. I was like, when we finally go full-time out of system, I refuse to become a semi-pro volleyball player. I'd rather quit the game than become the scum of the earth right there. And I'm not saying to all semi-pro volleyball players, but you know who you are, and if you're playing, you know who exactly I'm talking about. They're everywhere. And luckily, like I said, we had the fortune of traveling around the America and getting to play
the America.
The America. Exactly. Bro, you have no idea. I'm in the opposite of America right now. Let me tell you. But no,
so that door to kick open with some military dudes.
Dude, yeah, straight up triple locked. Let me tell you, it's safe here. It's not bad here. And I have Army friends from Hawaii. Fun fact. And I found really quick side note. I found at a restaurant randomly, a Hawaiian woman and a guy who graduated from UH, and they work for the Army here. Craziest story of my life. I just heard him talking English. It's crazy. So we found a lot of these communities and niches, and obviously in every niche there's these assholes semi-pro. You know, maybe they used to be I used to be play a few main draws or whatever. I'm like, okay, go get him, Tiger. And they're like the king of this like little
Uno
big
dos
fish.
and AVP Hermosa one time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, all right, man. You go, but that's the thing. And then you talk to a lot of the AVP guys, and they're all like super chill. It's just like whatever, man. You do you, man. All right, go out there. But that's who I think of the scum of the earth. If you're out there, come at me. And if you want to play us, Orange County Crown, June 4th and 5th.
Bam.
Mike, how would you
throwing out the gauntlet already? I love it.
I got no problem with that.
Mike, how would you describe like the community that's like at the core of the Seaside volleyball event, like up in Oregon, and what's different about it from everywhere else? Because every single community and culture in volleyball is, I think, is like maybe not vastly different, but definitely like there's significant differences in them.
You know, what's funny is the culture at Seaside is everybody's there to have a super good time. And you can gauge the severity by division, right? I mean, obviously, like with the Open, a lot of it is, everyone travels. Everyone's coming from someplace. So you get a lot of Southern California people. You get, before the COVID stuff, we had a big Canadian contingent that would come down and play in it, and then there's the Seattle people, and there's the Portland people that play Open. And so you get this melting pot, but for the most part, everyone's cool. Everyone has a good time. Everyone's super competitive and talking shit to each other through the net. But then when it's over, I
love that.
Everyone's happy and good. And, and the Women's Open, man, there's ladies that just come and they ball out and they battle. I mean, some of the funnest matches I've watched is watching the women play, because they're just, rallies forever. Just, I mean, it's just, they're solid, and a lot of good folks, man, that come up all the time that have played, AV. And by the time, when it's almost all, when we're into the semis of the Open, it's pretty much a AVP event as far as the level of who's playing and stuff. And it's a great tournament, man. And, AVP should be thanking me because I'm the reason that they're there.
So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
AVP. And we talked to Tom Galecki of Wapaka. So obviously they run a really good sand event, not as big as yours, but really still super solid. And they run the biggest grass tournament volleyball in the world.
Yeah.
One thing that and we talked to him, he's had problems with AVP, and because they're like, okay, they want to do this or they want to do that, but okay, you have this culture and you have this history behind this tournament, and here comes AVP. Obviously, they're gonna bring money, they can bring more people because of the point system and everything like that. But at the same time, you want to keep the heart of it. But at the same time, AVP is not one to, how should I say, play fair. I mean, once they come in, they're like, okay, we want this and we want this, and this is an AVP event. But at the same time, you're like, whoa. You guys wouldn't, obviously, exactly, like AVP should be thanking me kind of thing. And I don't want to seem ungrateful. I don't want to create drama or anything like that.
Yeah.
But how is your relationship with AVP, and because I know Wapaka is leaning towards basically not making an AVP event anymore because they're not adhering to, so you got to do this, but which vastly changes the what Wapaka is, and it just wouldn't be Wapaka anymore. But how's your relationship, and how do you keep that same, I guess, integrity throughout the years when partnering with a big company like that?
I can honestly say that the AVP they've been great the last few years that we've run events with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't sit on the conversation as far as what the contract negotiation is gonna be right with them. So I can't speak to the numbers of it. The biggest thing is with what happened with them last year was was just a lot of miscommunications. And so the event got kind of put a burden on us running the event, trying to keep the schedule going, just because, you know, the tournament was in the open division was kind of falling behind a little bit. They managed to get it fixed and get it caught up. I mean,
That's good.
But for the, you know, for the most part, working with them has been fine for us. It's been good. I mean, I, you know, the guys that work there, you know, Jeff Conover and Marty Swan and some of those ones that are still there after Bally's bought out the AVP, you know, they're good dudes. Mm-hmm. I can't speak to what happened with Wapaka. I mean, everybody's experiences are different.
100%.
And, you know, and, you know, it's, you know, it's, everyone wants to make a buck and everybody wants to run a good event, and everybody, you know, has an idea of how an event can be successful, you know? So for the most part, I mean, you know, I'm not going to badmouth them. I don't got anything bad.
No,
to say,
yeah, absolutely.
They're good dudes. And I don't think you guys are either, or you guys not, but you know, I mean, everybody wants, you know, the main thing is I think we're all trying to make the game grow
100%.
and we're all trying to make an experience for everybody. And we just, you know, if there's a way that we can all come together and make this game glorious for everybody, you know, the better. I mean, the last thing I want to see is a bunch of people talking shit about each other because, well, their event sucks and their event sucks and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think it's like that.
No.
You know, what I meant by when, you know, AVP should be thanking me because like Kevin Wong, we all know who Kevin Wong is,
right.
You know,
our
wine brother. And Kevin kind of put me in. I was talking to Kevin at the World Series of Beach Volleyball years ago. And he was like, you know, Mike, he goes, you know, AVP should get involved with Seaside and stuff. And so I was like, well, I don't even know who's the first person I need to go contact about it. I mean, like, you know, so he set me up with an email with Donald's son at the time, who was the owner. And and this was after my first year running Seaside, you know, my first year. And so I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm Mike and I freaking help run Seaside. I'm that guy. You know, they don't know who the hell I am. Right. And so I've without Seaside's permission, I just kind of told my boss at Seaside, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to the AVP in Chicago for the championships. And I'm going to go tell them what's up and just kind of say, hey, this is who we are. And, you know, let's see what can happen. And that's how the conversation started. Kevin kind of sent an email and I talked to Conover. They gave me a VIP pass and I kind of just stood around and had a meeting. And the first, you know, person I met there, you know, at the time, the first conversation, I was like, well, I feel like an idiot. I don't even know what the hell am I doing? And, you know, and the conversation kind of grew from there. And then, you know, and a couple years later, we got a partnership deal with them and made it a AVP Next event. And here we are, you know, in year, I think 3 because we didn't run it in 2020, you know, and seems to be going all right, I guess.
I'd say so.
You know?
I'd say
you
so.
know, I always think is just the most important part about like when something like that happens in any form of business. Like Gage hit it on the point, like the integrity and like the tradition of the event, making sure that always stays. Like, because you always have like these corporates and these suits who come in and they have this idea of telling you like, oh, we can do this better, we do this better. It's like, yeah, like, okay, there's some things that can be adjusted in terms of like scaling out an event. There's definitely some adjustments that have to be made, but just making sure like that you guys have done, I always think is extremely important. And that as Gage was saying, it seemed like Boat Ride at times was feeling like maybe they were trying to be swayed into a different direction of like what the actual event is. And so that's always like extremely important, I feel like. And, you know, and that's just the balance of like, okay, well, what do we want with the event? The people who like started the event, I think they have to kind of really make a decision. But from a volleyball lover, I guess, I always want to see like that, the integrity and the tradition of the event kind of stick with it. I think it's super important for that to happen. And that's what makes some of these events so cool.
And, you know, and that's kind of what happened with my, you know, running our little local Bad Boys Open tournaments up here. I would only run like 1 or 2 tournaments a year, and everyone would come play it because they knew that, you know, I'm going to feed everyone, and everyone's going to get a t-shirt from the event, and we're just going to have a good time and play, you know, and I've met so many cool people through it, and friends to this day that still do it. And then I got people calling me like, hey, freaking jerk off, when are you going to run another Bad Boys Open? You're going to go to California and run stuff. You haven't shown us anything, you know, 2 years because of COVID. So I'm, you know, a couple weeks after the crown, I'm going to have a little tiny old school event up here. So, you know, but I think what it is, man, is we got to create our own vibe and our own culture of what we're going to do. And I think what we're doing with the OC Crown, our partnership is we're going to do something that's going to blow people's mind, because there's nothing like it in SoCal, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be, you know, hopefully we can, you know, with the people that you guys are going to bring, and with, you know, with how I drawn on my experience with running Seaside and doing, and just making this culture our own, man, and just making this event our own thing. And, you know, if we can make it a Wapaka or a Pottstown thing where people just create it like a pilgrimage every year. Like, I'm going to freaking OC Crown. Absolutely. Had a blast last year. And that's what it's going to be about. You know, I think once we kick it off and once we do this thing, you know, and I think, you know, Huntington Beach Sports Complex, man, it's a great spot, and they're excited to have us because they've never had anything like this. So I think we're going to probably we're going to scare them to death, or they're just going to go, oh my God, this was the coolest thing ever. So
I think we're going to do a little bit of both. We're going to scare them with how sick it is.
I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna be introduced to the volleyball community in a very big and boisterous way, and it's gonna be glorious.
After this, they're gonna become a strictly grass volleyball sports complex.
Yeah, it's gonna be no more softball fields, just grass volleyball.
Well, exactly. Before we wrap it up here again, ladies and gentlemen out there, and of all ages. Remember, June 4th and 5th, Huntington Beach Sports Complex. We got $15K purse. We got men's and women's open A and B on the 4th. We got juniors quads on the 5th. Again, prizes included and everything. If you're a friend or you have people that would be interested, or you're a club coach, send this out to people. It's going to be a great, great event. We'll make sure of it. We got top of the line Mike Griffin here, which is out of system. And again, registration opens on Monday. So again, if you're wondering what time exactly, pay attention. Out of System and Bad Boys Open volleyball Instagram pages, and everything will be announced. We'll be putting promo out every single day, and the tournament will fill up fast. I guarantee you that. We have a lot of interest right now. It's not going to be easy getting a spot in this tournament, so make sure you grab your team quick and you are on that site when we announce the time.
www.badboysopenvolleyball.com.
Yep, the link will be in our bios and everything.
The longest freaking web address ever. Something shorter, but
no, that's perfect. That's perfect. But, Orange County Crown, maybe.
I'm excited, man. It's gonna be, we're gonna be putting in some mileage, but I think we're gonna pull this off. I think it's gonna be fun.
Brother. Hell yeah. Well, Mike. Oh yeah, super fun. Well, Mike, thank you so much for hopping on the pod, and you'll be seeing Go get some sleep. People out there, you'll be seeing a lot of Mike Griffin in the vlogs. You'll be seeing a lot of him out of system.
I gotta get this shoulder fixed, dude.
Exactly.
This is
Get
brutal.
back out there. You won't live vicariously anymore.
No, I gotta start.
We need a celeb shot for
What's
our
that?
team. We need you to come in for a celeb shot. You know, like a celeb shot, a celeb serve for our team. So you need to be ready in the
I'll be
June.
ready. It'll be a skyball probably.
Good man. Hey, that's the only way. That's the only way, baby.
That's right. That's right. Hopefully, I'll be throwing overhand by then. I should be, but
You'll be cherry. You'll be good.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, boys.
You can handle the heat. Yeah. You can handle the heat.
Friend of the show, friend of the company, Mike Griffin. Always a pleasure chatting with him. Always a pleasure just seeing these ginormous freaking tournaments and how they came about, you know. While PACA started out, I forget what PACA started out, but they had to change locations like 5 times. Pottstown, I don't really know the history of Pottstown that much. And now Seaside Open started as a two person, was it 5? I'm sorry, can you hear that, Joe? Can you hear that?
Yeah,
That's
a little bit.
That's insanely obnoxious. Sorry, they're just doing all this construction right above me. But started as a lifeguard tournament. It's just awesome. Again, we want to kind of point you towards the Orange Crown. We cannot stress enough. Be there if you want to be at the tournament. We want to have as many of our people there, as many of our followers there as possible, so we can meet, talk, watch, play, and make sure you sign up quick. Again,
Yeah.
sorry, Joe, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, for all those over 21, there will be an after party, and it will be lit.
It will be legendary. There will be
Only comma music will play.
exactly. We'll get. Are we looking at a bar? We're looking at a location. What are we looking at, Joe?
That is, there's a couple options right now. Once it is confirmed, we will let you know, but it'll be lit. Just know that.
Is DJ Chino? But this is gonna be it. I can't really tell. Well, I'm not. Is DJ Chino gonna make an appearance? We're gonna have a DJ there.
I don't know. We'll see. If anybody's a cover band in the LA area, anybody who DJs or anything wants to be our headliner at that
Lando.
party, we're gonna have an audition. We're gonna have an audition for the event. So you got
That was bloody terrible.
Out of Systems Got Talent.
We did, Joe. Remember we did have that, but it was virtual. That was cool though when we did that. We should do something like that again. Okay, but yeah, again, make sure if you listen to this podcast by now, you know it's June 4th and 5th, Huntington Beach Sports Complex. It opens on Monday. Pay attention to both of our Instagrams in order to find out what time it's gonna open registration, because it's gonna be like slunks, man. It's gonna drop fast. Anytime we put out merch, it drops fast. So you got to be ready for stuff. This is the same deal. So please be paying attention to our social medias. Anything else you got to add, Joey?
Anybody, we have a limited amount of space for clinics left throughout the U.S. We're going all parts of the U.S. this summer.
Tours, baby.
You have DM or email Joe at outofsystem.net. Hit us up or DM the Out of System account. But we have like a couple spots left for clubs, high school, whatever. But you got it. Universities who wants to come to their camps, you got to hit us up. We'll hop on a call, group call, figure that out, figure out the logistics. But like I said, it's going fast. Spots are filling up like this. Just like last summer, big clubs came to us and it was just too late because we had already filled up. So we always tell you guys got to be on top of it, and you get mad at us after. We're like, hey, I don't know how many times we've said this. Get the merch early, sign up early, let us know early when you want us to get there. Like all this stuff we want to do as much as possible, but also we have a limited amount of time and space and not space, but limited amount of time and resources in terms of like personnel.
I think and I think next podcast we can talk about our summer plans, what happened with the summer plans, and a lot of news. And I think we maybe next podcast, that podcast after that, but we're getting everything in line for you people out there, so we can
Big
bring
plans.
that to you. Very big plans and a lot of big news. Anyways, want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Price's electrolytes. We've talked about it in various ways. How can you use Dr. Price electrolytes? In the bedroom, on the court, any which where. You need to get electrolyted? Dr. Price's electrolyte is the way to go. I mean, there's no better way to go than Dr. Price's electrolyte. It saves lives. It keeps you going when there's going to get going. And it gets you insane amount of accolades in volleyball skills. I mean, it's just how can you not be taking this product? Where? Dr. Price's electrolytes. Bam. Right here, baby. I'm gonna next podcast. I'm just gonna down one of these because I have a bunch of them. And I'll be nice and electrolyted. I'll run a sub under 2-minute mile. Guaranteed. Anyways, Dr. Price electrolytes. Add some 20 for 20% off. Remember, guys, if you can't handle heat, get out of the kitchen. This has been another episode presented by Out of System.